Well, it had special meaning in Russia. It had a meaning in Russia that was separate from the meaning, I think, in France or Italy or Germany. The meaning in Russia was that they were to build the great Russian nation again. And as Stalin wrote in 1928 to Gorky, he said, "There will be more beggarly Russia. That's over with. There will be a vanguard Russia based on socialist principles." And this was the dream that ignited the country. They wanted that. They wanted to get out of the mud. They wanted to get out of the unbelievable poverty of their lives throughout the whole expanse of this enormous country. And this was the way to do it. They were building something, and they were going to build the great nation. And it was a great nation which that was originally founded entirely on socialist principles. But when the Second World War came along, Stalin realized that these socialist principles weren't enough. Why? Because he also knew something, which is that in the Ukraine and elsewhere, there was still a lot of smoldering resentment against the socialist state, certainly in Ukraine among the Ukrainian peasants. What could he then rely on? And he did something that was extraordinarily clever. He fused this idea of the great Soviet state with Russian nationalism. And he created what Robert Tucker calls Bolshevik nationalism. And this is a very, very powerful force in the minds of people in Russia, so that the rehabilitation of Stalin that you're seeing on the street corners of Moscow and all of the provincial cities in Russia is connected to their deep-seated and satisfied, utterly unsatisfied need to see the realization of those dreams. The fact that it caused 20 million people to die in the labor camps, the fact that 5 million or so Ukrainian peasants died in 1932-33, and 4.5 million in Kazakhstan, which we now know, 4.5 million out of a population of 9 million people in Kazakhstan. That country was almost entirely depopulated because of this famine that was being controlled by the government. The fact of the crimes in Katyn, the fact of the deportation of the kulaks, the deportation of the Crimean Tatars. In 1937 alone, 960,000 people were arrested in the party. This is at the height of the purge. And of those 960,000 who were arrested in 1937, over 300 were shot, as you described, after one day of a trial, and the trial usually lasted 50 minutes. Despite this horror, despite the terror, despite everything, this is a country that believes so strongly this idea of the great socialist Russian state that it is willing to have pictures of Stalin on boxes of chocolate being sold in Sheremetyevo Airport in Moscow right now.
This excerpt is brought to you by the Massachusetts School of Law, the leader of reform in legal education and a leader in multimedia education for the public. To view the full interview and for a full listing of MSL's programs, log on to mslaw.edu.